That year, our parents passed away and the company was on the verge of bankruptcy. I chose to cut ties with my brother right when he was at his lowest. 5 years later, his company was listed on the stock exchange. He became President Huo, respected by all. When a reporter asked him who he was most grateful for in these years, he only curved his lips, his eyes cold, his voice dripping with sarcasm. My little sister who abandoned me for money, but she doesn't count as my sister anymore. How is she living now? That sentence was like a bucket of ice water poured over everyone listening. Right after, netizens launched a massive campaign to search for President Huo's younger sister. The reward went up to tens of millions, but they never found me. They only found a diary I had written before I died. When reporters placed the diary in front of CEO Huo, he froze in place. His hands trembled as he took it, a flicker of panic flashing in his eyes. But only a second later, he flung the diary straight into the trash, his voice icy and contemptuous. Another one of Huo Nian's tricks? Or one of yours to boost the show's ratings? The reporter hurriedly shook his head. Rose picked the diary out of the trash, brushing away the thick layer of dust on the cover. This is indeed the diary your sister wrote before she passed. As for the body, it was cremated. Since no one claimed her, with no relatives to bury her, the funeral home followed procedure. Before he could finish, CEO Huo slammed his hand on the table and stood up furious. Don't think pulling this stunt will make me forgive her. Tell Huo Nian I already have a new sister. She is nothing. Even if she's dead, I don't care. The reporters looked at him, uneasy, then cautiously asked, Then what do you want to do with this diary? Huo Nian let out a cold laugh. Read it. I want to see what lies she made up. Goodbye, brother. January 1st, 2019. Hello, diary. From now on, I'll trouble you to take care of me. Seems like you'll be the only one by my side. Let me tell you, today I packed up all the gifts Mom, Dad, and my brother had ever given me. I was planning to leave home quietly. I didn't want him to see me, but he caught me in the act. He grabbed my hand, refusing to let go. He said he was my only family left. For a second, my heart wavered, but I still kept a cold face and asked him, The company is bankrupt now. Can you still afford the designer bags I like? I spend money like water. Can you even support me? Instead of living with you, pinching pennies every day and living in poverty, I'd rather find a man who can keep me. Coincidentally, I had already met someone. My brother panicked. He asked who it was, begged me not to be fooled. He promised he'd work harder, earn more money, and someday give me back the life of a princess I once had. But guess what I told him? I said I'd rather be fooled. What does it have to do with you? If you're really capable, earn enough money to support me. I'll still be your good sister, and I'll come home. But when will you ever have money? My brother was a man of immense pride. Yet to keep me, he actually knelt down. Ridiculous, isn't it? I turned my head away, secretly wiping my tears so he didn't see me. I even slapped him and told him not to follow me anymore, not to stop me from chasing my future. And I boldly declared I was cutting all ties with him. That slap stunned him. He just stood there, frozen, while I pulled my suitcase and walked away. I'm sorry, brother. It hurt so much. Reading up to this point, the reporter drew in a sharp breath. He hadn't expected CEO Huo to love his sister that much. But when the camera panned to Huo Nian, his expression was still indifferent, cold as ever. He only replied flatly, I do regret it. He paused, then added, I regret treating her too well, only to raise an ungrateful wretch. Medical checkup, April 2019. Hello again, diary.
Today I went to another hospital for a more thorough examination. Honestly, I hoped the previous diagnosis was wrong. That way I could go back, tell my brother I regretted everything, and if I just acted sweet and spoiled like before, he would forgive me again. But life doesn't hand out miracles so easily. The doctor looked at me gravely and asked, "Where are your parents?" Then he said, "Primary liver cancer, terminal stage. You need to be hospitalized immediately." I didn't fully understand, but the fear of death made me break down in tears. I was only 17. The doctor gave me the payment slip with sympathy in his eyes. I went to the machine to check the cost, then quietly walked out of the hospital. Forget it. My bank card is linked to my brother's main account. I'd rather save that money for him. I'm going to die soon anyway. Why waste his hard-earned money? After the contractors working with our parents ran off, the project collapsed. Funds dried up, and the crushing debt pushed Mom and Dad into desperation. They ran everywhere to find help, until one night, during a business banquet, they got into a car accident and died together. All the burden fell on my brother's shoulders. I once saw with my own eyes when debt collectors stormed into our house, hauling away everything of value. To leave me tens of millions for overseas study, my brother knelt down and begged others for help. But in the end, even that was frozen by the bank. To raise me and repay debts, he borrowed everywhere. He drank so much he ended up in the hospital, but had no time or money for treatment. As soon as he woke, he went back to entertaining clients, humbling himself, swallowing insults just to earn a living. I cried, begged him to recover first before working again, but he only smiled and said, "I'm made of steel, don't worry." Tell me, isn't he a fool? The truth is, I wanted to help him. I wanted to tell him I didn't need to study abroad, that I wasn't the spoiled princess anymore. I could live without luxuries, I could work part-time to support him. But at such a crucial time, I was diagnosed with the most expensive disease of all. Diary, you must think I'm useless too, don't you? The reporter's eyes turned red. Seems like the sister who left back then had her own hidden suffering. So young and already with terminal liver cancer. Pitiful, indeed. But Huo Yen sneered. A sob story, nothing more. Reporter Lin, don't be fooled by her. Huo Yen was always the best actress. When she was little, she even faked a stomachache just to skip school, had the whole family panicked, rushing her to the hospital. She's been a drama queen since then. The reporter gave a wry smile, sighing. Let's hope that's not the case. No money, too much pain. May 15th, 2019. Hello again, diary. Last night, I couldn't sleep again. Not because I didn't want to, but because the pain was unbearable. The illness keeps getting worse. Without painkillers, I truly can't endure it anymore. But I have no money, and right now, there's something even more urgent. If I don't pay the rent, my landlord will throw me out. Looks like I'll finally experience what I once joked with my brother about, sleeping under a bridge. Back then, when I read wuxia novels, I thought sleeping under a bridge sounded heroic. Now that I've grown up, I realize it's terrifying. With no money left to spend, I hung up the few gifts my parents once bought me on a second-hand market. Those were the only things I had taken when I left home. Someone really offered to buy them, but I always found excuses to refuse. Honestly, I just couldn't bear to let them go. But hunger and pain eventually became unbearable. I withdrew 500 yuan from the account. Brother, I'm sorry. I've spent your money again. After being poor, I realized all my picky habits from the past were cured. When I was so hungry, I almost fainted. I even picked up a dirty steamed bun from the trash and ate it. To be honest, it actually tasted good.
This story is exclusively broadcast on Phone Thumb Audio. Seems like hunger really can cure all princess diseases. I went to the supermarket, bought a bag of buns and a bottle of water, then stopped by the hospital to get some painkillers. The rest I saved for rent. Then my teacher called me again. She advised me to continue studying properly. With my academic performance, suddenly dropping out would be such a waste. Afraid she would reach out to my brother, I proactively applied for leave, but in the end, she still called him. He called me soon after. His voice was stiff, cold. Huan Yan, I know you don't want to be involved with me. I don't care which man you cling to, but you shouldn't throw away your studies, the very thing you used to be most proud of, for him. Falling so low, don't you feel ashamed before our parents? It had only been a dozen days since I last heard his voice, but it felt like half a lifetime. I covered my mouth to stop myself from crying, but the tears poured out uncontrollably. Brother, I miss you so much. He waited on the other end, but when he heard no reply, he grew impatient. If you keep being like this, I really will stop caring about you. Then he hung up, and I cried for a very long time. Dear Diary, I'll keep his number. Tomorrow I will go finalize the withdrawal from school. The reporter looked at CEO Huo, slightly dazed. He paused for a moment, wiped the corner of his eye, then turned to the next page. Moving to a cheaper inn, meeting a kind sister, May 20th, 2019. Dear Diary, I moved again. The old inn cost 51 yuan a night, too expensive. I wandered across the whole city and finally found a place on the outskirts, just 31 yuan a night. The room had 4 beds. Across from me was a creepy old man. From the first glance, he gave me the chills. He always stared at me and smiled, that kind of smile that makes your skin crawl. He often found excuses to brush against my hand. One time, as I walked out of the bathroom, he looked at me and started undoing his pants. Luckily, just then, a young woman walked in. She froze for a moment, then landed a hard slap across his face. You sick freak! Try touching me again and I'll cripple you. I looked at her with deep gratitude. She slept on the lower bunk beneath me. Her name was Ha Yang. She raised her head, smiled, and said, "Don't worry, I'm here." She was truly kind. That night, I took my medicine and slept soundly. I even dreamed. In my dream, my parents took my brother and me to Disneyland. Knowing how much I loved Nick the Fox, my brother queued for hours just to get our turn for a photo. Finally, when it was our turn, he called my name and pushed me forward to stand beside Nick. At last, I got to take a picture with my idol. I smiled until my eyes disappeared into crescents. My parents and brother stood nearby watching me happily, but when I turned back, they were all gone. The sky, clear and blue, suddenly turned dark. I panicked, crying as I searched for them. No matter how much I searched, they didn't appear. I woke up drenched in sweat. Ha Young looked at me worriedly. "Are you all right?" I shook my head. She asked why I was here. I told her everything. Somehow, I trusted her deeply. After listening, she said nothing, just pulled me into her arms. Her embrace was so warm. It reminded me of my brother. She told me she was an orphan, adopted, but abused by her foster parents. Unable to endure it, she ran away. At just a little over 10 years old, she had already been struggling out in the world, meeting all kinds of people, learning different ways to protect herself. She said, "A little lamb like you needs a big wolf like me to shield you."
She taught me many tricks to save money. For example, going to the supermarket to collect products that were about to expire. Some places would even give compensation. Others wouldn't, but they would still let you take them for free. Or at the market, picking up discarded vegetable leaves, throwing away the rotten parts, blanching them in hot water, and they'd still be edible. Ha Young even took me along to do part-time jobs to earn some money. Handing out flyers for one afternoon earned 60 yuan. The first time I held money I earned myself, I no longer felt like a useless person. I thought, if I could earn this much every day, then even if I died later, I could still leave some behind for my brother. Thinking that, I laughed out loud. She looked at me like I was an idiot. "You're happy over just 60 yuan?" I nodded. She poked my nose, teasing that I had no sense. Except for the need to stay cautious of that creepy old man and to hurry washing up and sleeping early because at 10 p.m. the electricity and water would be cut, the days at that inn were actually quite happy. It's almost power cut time. Sleep well. When reading about that perverted old man, even CEO Huo, usually indifferent, quietly clenched his fist. The reporter thought, maybe Mr. Huo doesn't truly hate his sister as much as he claims, but the very next second, he gave a cold, mocking smile. Perhaps it was only an illusion. He flipped to the next page and continued reading. Farewell to the kind sister, April 22nd, 2019. Dear Diary, I moved out. Yesterday, while I was in the bathroom, she saw me coughing up blood. She clearly had so little money, yet she still insisted on taking me to the hospital. Until then, I had never told her about my illness. I only said I quarreled with my brother and moved out. But how could I hide it from her? Maybe I really am a jinx. I didn't want to burden my brother, and even less did I want to drag down this righteous young woman I just had met not long ago. She once told me she worked so that one day she could open her own flower shop, to have a home that truly belonged to her. She said, "I won't let a girl as young as you die like this." When she said that, her eyes were full of determination. I smiled and nodded, but in my heart I thought, farewell, sister. The next morning, before dawn, I quietly dragged my small suitcase and slipped away. My legs are numb from sitting and writing. Hold on, let me take a breath. Okay, better. Recently, my health has gotten much worse. I've already started vomiting blood. Just now, I couldn't hold it back again. People on the street, seeing me like that, were frightened and backed away as if I carried a plague. They only pointed and whispered. I crouched down, curling into myself. It took me a long time before I could raise my head again. When I realized blood had already stained the diary, I tried wiping it with my hands. But the more I wiped, the larger the bloodstains spread. Sorry, diary, I dirtied you. I didn't mean to, I just couldn't hold back the pain. While I was still squatting there, a shabby-looking couple approached me. The woman shoved some small change in my hand. No matter how I refused, she insisted on leaving it behind before running away. Curious, I secretly followed her. I saw she had a disabled husband holding a very young child in his arms. She gently stroked her child's hair, kissed the little one on the cheek, and then went back to peddling fruit. I stood there for a long time. By nightfall, half my body was numb with cold. More than half of her fruit still remained unsold. She sighed. Her husband softly comforted her. The two of them began to pack up, placing the child into a basket beside them. I pulled my hat down, walked quickly over, and while she wasn't looking, I slipped that money back into the child's clothes. Before the reporter could say a word, Huonyan sneered. How touching! I almost fell for it. So without some rich patron, she starts writing novels to make money instead. Reporter Lin, you don't need to read any further. I must be a fool, wasting all this time listening to these fake acts. If she really faked her death, refusing to face me, then let's just treat it as if she truly died. Either way, I don't care. With that, he stood up, never once turning back. The interview ended there.
However, after this episode of the interview was broadcast, it exploded everywhere. Someone dug up the fact that after President Huo cut ties with his younger sister years ago, he frequently visited psychological clinics. From this, people speculated that he once suffered from severe depression due to the death of their parents and the betrayal of his sister. It was also discovered that once his career stabilized, he adopted another younger sister. And the diary of President Huo's late sister only fueled even more heated discussion online. The comments were divided. Some cursed Huo's younger sister, Huo Nian, saying she faked her death just to gain attention. That year, she abandoned her own brother for money, leaving him alone to shoulder the family's bankruptcy crisis, nearly breaking his spirit. Now, seeing him successful, she came back playing the pitiful victim card, begging for sympathy. To write such a diary, if she doesn't write novels, it would be a waste. Truly disgusting. Greedy for money. She thought faking her death would soften him. Too bad. President Huo now has a new sister. It's said that for her 18th birthday, he set off fireworks for a whole hour across the city and even gifted her an entire building. Truly pampered like a princess. Haha, say no more. If she hadn't been the one to cut ties with him back then, everything now would have been hers. She must be regretting it to death. But others spoke up. I think there must be hidden reasons. The diary was written with such sincerity, full of raw emotions. I don't believe someone who wrote such words could be greedy for money. I agree, there must be something more behind it. Whether they cursed her or defended her, everyone waited eagerly for the next content in the diary of President Huo's sister. To capitalize on the hype, the television station once again contacted President Huo's side, asking whether he agreed to publicly release the diary before his sister's death. Whether it was disbelief or genuine indifference, President Huo's assistant replied, President Huo said the diary has already been handed over to the station. Publicize it or destroy it, it's up to you. He has no opinion. He also added, President Huo has already made it clear. He has only one sister, Huo Yuan. A portion of netizens felt extremely satisfied. Let's see if this so-called sister can keep acting anymore. He doesn't even care. Haha, the money-hungry girl must be terrified now. After receiving authorization, not long after, reporter Lin from the television station organized a live stream titled The Final Diary of Huo Nian. On screen, his face was serious as he turned to the camera and said, Like everyone else, I have not read this diary before. After receiving permission from President Huo, today I will share it with you. I hope everyone will be gentle when commenting. The live stream immediately exploded with viewers. In less than 1 minute, it surpassed 1 million people. Everyone was waiting for reporter Lin to open the diary. At the same time, inside the Huo family home, Assistant Lin Yi cast a complicated look towards President Huo. After hesitating for a long while, he finally spoke. President Huo, the program is about to begin. President Huo didn't even lift his head. I already said I don't want to hear anything about her anymore. Reporter Lin took a deep breath and opened the diary. A puppy sharing the same fate. May 2019. Dear Diary, today I picked up a little puppy. At first, I didn't intend to care about it,
but it kept limping after me with its injured leg and whining softly. Thinking about how I couldn't even take care of myself, how could I take care of it? I forced myself to walk away. But after just 2 steps, I turned back. When I picked it up, its yellow eyes suddenly lit up and licked the palm of my hand with its tongue. I sighed. This dog had found the right person, my soft heart. I named it Changshen. I hoped it would live long and not meet a doomed fate like me. I took it to the vet. They did a CT scan, and just the examination fees emptied my wallet. The doctor said surgery would cost $2,000. Without it, the dog would die. The doctor was very serious. Hugging Changshen in my arms, I carefully asked, "Can I bring it back in a few days? I don't have money. Can't I wait a little longer?" The doctor shook his head. No more waiting. At the latest, tomorrow.
I carried Cheng Sheng out of the veterinary hospital, sat down on the corner of the street, and blankly talked to him. You really are silly. Out of all the rich people in this world, you had to choose me, a dying girl with nothing left. And worse, I'm dirt poor. Where am I supposed to find 2,000 for you? Of course, the dog didn't understand a word I said. He just wagged his tail endlessly, as if celebrating finally having a home. Looking at him, my eyes welled up again. For his sake, I dragged myself to an ATM, hesitating as I thought about withdrawing 2,000. One last time, brother. This would be the last time I spent your money. But unexpectedly, I found out you had already frozen my supplementary card. My heart sank. It made sense, really. I had said we'd cut ties. You had no reason to keep supporting me. I hadn't intended to ever contact you again, but for Chang Seng's sake, I removed your number from my blocked list and called. The dial tone rang on and on. Just when I thought you wouldn't pick up, you answered. You sneered. Regretting it now? After daring to sever ties with me, you're the one calling back? Didn't you say you wanted nothing to do with me anymore, or is it that you've run out of money? Those opening lines stuck in my throat, choking off anything I wanted to say. I wanted to hang up, but Chang Sang snuggled against me, nudging softly. Transfer me 2,000. You went silent for a few seconds, then asked again, coldly. After all this time, you reach out not to ask if I'm eating or if I'm living well or if I miss you. You call only to ask for money? I bit down hard on my lip. The salty taste rose in my throat, but I swallowed it back. Yes, I answered like a machine. You seemed to choke on your words. Then, with bitterness. Good. That's all you want, right? Everything I have, I'll give it all to you. Is that enough? I truly shouldn't expect anything from you anymore. Neon, you really have no heart. From today on, our sibling bond is finished. You hung up. I couldn't hold it back anymore. I collapsed to the ground, vomiting blood. So much blood, but on the dark pavement it was hard to see. Chang Shang must have been terrified. He whined nonstop, licking my face. I stroked his head. The pain was familiar now, numb even. Only my heart hurt worse. Looking at my phone, I saw you had transferred me 20,000. I wanted to return the excess, but I realized you had already blocked me. I hugged Chang Shang and cried for a long time. I knew then you truly didn't want me anymore. Back then, I was the one begging you to forget me, to sever ties with me. But now that you really did it, I couldn't breathe from the pain. Chang Shang, I don't have a home anymore. On the live stream screen,
Comments flew by rapidly. Damn, this is heartbreaking. Even if she faked her death or exaggerated, this story is too moving. I'm crying right now. Please keep reading. What happened to Ching Shang? Ugh, the dog can't even talk. It just feels happy having a home. This is so painful. There were still a few calling Hu Nian an actress, saying she was playing the victim for pity. But compared to before, those voices were just a drop in the ocean. Now, everyone seemed to care only about one thing. What happened to Chang Shang? At the audience's urging, reporter Lin took a deep breath, wiped away his tears, and turned to the next page. Painkillers, May 15th, 2019. Dear Diary, it's been a while. Let me tell you some good news. Chang Sang had his surgery and has recovered. He's healthy again. But he's become an incredibly clingy dog. Wherever I go, he follows. Even when I sleep, he has to press against my leg to rest peacefully. Thankfully, I had him. Just the other day, someone tried to touch my waist, but with his growl, the person got scared and backed off. The bad news? My illness has worsened. I don't know how long I have left, perhaps not even a month. Now, every time I go to buy painkillers, the pharmacists look at me with suspicion, like I'm some addict. Luckily, I still have my medical diagnosis. After begging for a while, they reluctantly sell them to me. But the medicine works less and less. To sleep, I have to take more. Yesterday, while handing out flyers, I suddenly collapsed in the street. Cheng Sheng panicked, licking my face nonstop, howling loudly. Luckily, a kind person rushed me to the hospital, though it cost another pile of money. My heart ached as I calculated. I didn't just lose my wages, I lost even more. The doctor sternly warned me I must be hospitalized immediately, and they had to call my family. If this drags on, he didn't even finish the sentence, but I understood. I muttered a few excuses, then slipped out. Hospitalization is not an option. It's too expensive. Just outside the hospital gates, I saw Chang Sheng. The moment he spotted me, he sprinted over. But that night, the pain was unbearable. I couldn't sleep at all. Chang Sheng sensed it, frantic with worry, yet helpless. He pressed against me tightly, licking my hands, whining like he was about to cry. I reached out to stroke his head, trying to reassure him, but the next moment I couldn't hold it back. I rushed out and clung to the toilet, vomiting violently, as if my body was expelling everything inside of me. I don't know how long it lasted. When I finally regained consciousness, it was only thanks to Chang Sheng licking my face. I looked into the mirror, and even I was terrified of myself. My hair had thinned out, my face pale and sickly. The once chubby cheeks were gone, leaving only a sharp, pointed chin. Back then, you used to tease me, saying this bun face always looked like I was 18. Well, look at me now. Seems like I'll really stay 18 forever. But staying young forever, it's not such a blessing. I had wanted to grow up slowly, to be by your side, to see you get married, build your career, live happily. I washed my face, patted my cheeks lightly, trying to encourage myself. At least there was one bright side. You didn't see me like this. Otherwise, you'd be scared out of your wits. I took painkillers and forced myself to sleep a little. But by midnight, I was burning with fever again. Dear Diary, the pain is unbearable. The truth is, I miss him so much. I just want to see him one more time. Even if it's only from a distance, that wish isn't too much, is it? Meeting him again, May 20th, 2019. I'm going out to see him today. Of course, Chengsheng is coming with me. To prepare, I brought a cap, a mask, and even a black windbreaker. I look just like a paparazzi reporter. All I need is a single glance from afar. That's enough. Dear Diary, I'm back. He's still as handsome as ever, taller now, but so much thinner. At first, I only planned to look once and leave, but his face, it wasn't happy at all. Back then, he always smiled so easily. I couldn't help it. I followed him. I didn't know why he was at the hospital. Why was he visiting a psychiatrist? After he left, I asked his doctor. At first, he refused, saying it was confidential. I begged and pleaded. At last, he sighed and revealed a little. My brother is ill, gravely ill. The death of our parents was already a crushing blow. And then me leaving, he blamed himself even more. He believed it was his fault, that he was useless, that he couldn't care for me. That's why I abandoned him. That guilt grew heavier, pushing him to self-harm. I cried, and then I laughed bitterly. You really are a fool. It wasn't your fault. It was me who was useless. I only dragged you down. You've always been the best brother in the world. You could save your allowance all year just to buy me one expensive birthday gift. You fought school bullies who dared to pick on me, even if it meant getting punished. You carried everything after our parents died, every burden, every humiliation, just to make sure I never lacked a thing. How could I ever hate you? At that moment, reporter Lynn suddenly paused, raising the diary towards the camera.
People noticed that this page, aside from the graceful handwriting, still carried the marks of tears, soaked through, then dried. She must have cried for a long time. Her tears had stained this diary page. Reporter Lynn's eyes grew moist as well. He adjusted his voice, trembling with emotion. I really am useless. I couldn't do anything. I just stood there, watching him walk past me, too cowardly to run up and hug him. The moment our eyes met, he immediately turned away. He doesn't recognize me anymore. And that's fair. I'm neither human nor ghost at this point. Better he never sees me again. I don't want him to be sad. Preparing to die. May 30th, 2019. Dear Diary, I've made my decision. Rather than slowly wasting away in pain, I'd rather end it a little earlier myself. Do you think I'm right to do this? I must be so far gone from this illness that I've gone mad, rambling to you, to Chengsheng, as if either of you could answer me. I've already bought the sleeping pills. But what about Chengsheng? I can't just abandon him. I want to entrust him to my brother. Let him stay by his side, be his companion, and have someone to take care of him. I thought I was clever, but then suddenly remembered, tomorrow is my birthday. Fine, I'll hold on for one more day. I don't want to die on my birthday. My coming of age, May 31st, 2019. Last year, on my 17th birthday, my parents had a handmade princess dress custom ordered from Italy. The moment I put it on, Mom hugged me, laughing nonstop, telling me I was the most beautiful princess. And my brother gave me a necklace studded with gems, sparkling and expensive. All those gifts have long been pawned away. What's left with me now are just a few items of little value, but I've carried them everywhere. Even when I had no money to eat, I never sold them. At night, I still hug the teddy bear Mom bought me when I was 6, holding it like I'm holding her. My parents and brother once promised that on my 18th birthday,
The day I officially became an adult, they would throw me a grand celebration to celebrate me, their little princess. But now, the only one beside me is Chang Sheng. I hold him tightly. He is the only warmth I have left. It's as if he sensed my emotions. He began licking my hand, then my cheek, as if trying to warm me up. It tickled a little. I smiled faintly, kissed him on the head, then carried him to a bakery. I wanted to buy myself a small cake. Back then, I never cared for those big multi-tiered cakes my parents used to order. Now, after so long without one, I craved it so badly my mouth watered. Seeing the prices, hundreds of yuan, I froze in place for a long time, my heart aching. An impatient assistant walked over and snapped, "Are you buying or not? If not, move aside." She even glanced at Chang Sheng in my arms, frowning. No pets allowed in the store. But I clearly saw another woman bring in a giant Alaskan dog just a moment ago. It must be because Chang Sheng looks too dirty. I never had money to take him for a bath at a pet shop. I lowered my head, apologized, and bought the cheapest fruit mousse, 20 yuan. Finding a bench in the park, I sat down with Chang Sheng in my arms. There were no candles, so I just imagined them, closed my eyes, and made a wish. I wished for Chang Sheng's safety, for my brother's success, for him to live a long, happy life. I opened my eyes, scooped a spoonful of fruit cream, and fed it to Chang Sheng. He ate it happily, as if he was also celebrating my 18th birthday.
I was craving it so badly, but after just a few bites, I threw it all back up. In the end, I took Chang Zheng to a pet shop to give him one proper bath. It cost 200 yuan. The shop owner said he had never seen a dog so obedient. When I took him back, clean and smelling fresh, I hugged him and breathed in deeply. Chang Zheng was a gift heaven had given me. And now, I want to give this gift to my brother. I hope he'll take care of him for me. I hope Chang Zheng can stay by his side in my place. The 20,000 yuan left in my account, I'll quietly slip it through the crack of his door. If nothing unexpected happens, this will be the last entry in this diary, because tomorrow I will go to another world to see my parents again. Dear diary, I will miss you. Chang Zheng, I will bless you too. And my brother, I will forever, forever, forever be by your side. It should have ended there. But by instinct, reporter Lin turned another page and saw the words written there. Chang Zheng is dead. June 1, 2019. I'm sorry, Chang Zheng. It was my fault. I didn't take care of you well enough. Did my brother think you belonged to someone else? Or did he just refuse to take you in? I had been hiding nearby, planning to wait until he led you away before leaving. But Chang Zheng broke free of the leash and ran straight toward me. If only I had handed him to my brother directly, maybe nothing would have happened. I cried and cried, begging Chang Zheng not to leave me, not to go. But he only managed to lift his head, let out one weak whimper, then licked my face. After that, he closed his eyes. I held Chang Zheng in my arms and sang to him, "Puppy, do you want to hear the puppy song?" As I sang, my tears wouldn't stop falling. I buried Chang Zheng next to my parents' graves, under a small mound of earth. Tonight, the moon wasn't full, but it was bright. I couldn't wait for the next full moon. Chang Zheng, run a little slower. I'll come find you soon. And our parents, too. Brother, goodbye. Reporter Lin finished the diary, his eyes brimming with tears. Meanwhile, comments on the live stream poured in like a storm. What? Chang Zheng is dead? Is Honium dead too? This author is cruel.
If she had to die, fine. But why kill the dog? What did it ever do wrong? Poor Changzhang. Please stop killing dogs in stories. I can't take it. Wait, so did Honium really die or not? Is this just a program stunt? Tell me, this is just marketing hype, right? Reporter Lin closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and spoke heavily. Based on police records and our investigation results, Honium passed away 5 years ago. This is not an act, not a fake death. She is gone. Please, let us show respect for the departed. As for this diary, we will preserve it, but will not comment on any other matters. Thank you, everyone. Immediately after, reporter Lin ended the live stream, but the curiosity of netizens didn't stop. They flooded into Huoc Tang's Weibo to leave messages and comments. Searches skyrocketed, keywords climbing into the hot list. Honi M, sister of Huoc Tang, has passed away. The last diary of Honi M. Is the diary real? What happened to Changzhang? Then, the older sister once mentioned in the diary also posted online. Niam, are you really gone? I'm sorry. That day, you left without saying goodbye. I searched for you for so long, but couldn't find you. I failed you. If only I had taken you to the doctor sooner, maybe you wouldn't have left so early. Maybe you wouldn't have had to suffer so much. At first, not many people believed her, until she shared a photo they had taken together. In it, the smiling girl next to her was unmistakably Honium, identical to the pictures already circulating online. Only then did everyone believe that the diary was real. The internet erupted in sorrow. Hashtags related to Niam and Changzhang soared to the top of search trends. Bring them home. Niam and Changzhang, are you at peace in the other world? And finally, the news reached the Huoc Tang's assistant. He stared at the screen for a long time before finally opening his mouth. President Huo, do you remember, last year, did you happen to see a small dog? Light yellow fur. Huoc Tang looked up, frowning slightly, then nodded. That day, when I got off work, I saw a little dog tied up in front of your house. Its whole body was pale yellow, with a little pink nose. Clean, adorable. You could tell it had an owner. I remembered she always loved small animals. I crouched down and patted its head. It was so obedient, wagging its tail the whole time. I figured the owner would come back for it, so I just went home. Not long after, I heard noise outside. Looking out the window, I saw a girl holding the dog in the middle of the street, crying in agony. They said the dog had been waiting there, but when the owner never came, it panicked, ran into the road, and was hit by a car. The assistant froze. At that very moment, his phone buzzed. He lowered his head to check, and his heart clenched when he saw the document just delivered. President Huo, forgive me. Lately, I've been secretly investigating the diary and the truth about your sister. His voice trembled. She really has passed away. The police recorded it last year. The birth certificate is real. It couldn't have been forged. She committed suicide by poison. The diary is real too. After saying this, he didn't dare look at Huoc Tang's face. He only opened a few trending search tags. Please look. You should see how she lived after she left. The entire diary has been made public now. I thought maybe you would want to know. At the door, he stopped. If there's one thing certain, it's that your sister suffered greatly. He closed the door behind him, but even then, he could still hear it. The muffled sobs of his boss breaking into the helpless wailing of a child, like a boy who had just lost the most precious treasure of his life. The next day, Hak Nien came to collect the diary from reporter Lin. That diary, he read it again and again, countless times, until he could recite every word by heart, as though torturing himself deliberately. He could never have imagined that Ninim was sick, and not just sick, terminally ill. She feared pain so much, how could she possibly have endured it? As a child, even just one injection made her cry for an whole hour, her eyes swollen from tears. Back then, his heart hurt even more than hers. He had even asked the doctor, "Why is Ninim so afraid of pain?" The doctor explained that every person has a different threshold. Some can endure, some cannot. Ninim belonged to the latter, extremely sensitive to pain. So Hak Nien was always careful in everything. He replaced every sharp corner in the house with rounded ones, covered the cold hard floors with thick carpets. He raised her like a treasure in the palm of his hand. And yet, this girl, the one he cherished most, ultimately chose to end her life because she could no longer endure the agony of cancer. Just the thought of it tore his heart apart. He had to breathe hard, deeply, just to keep from suffocating on the pain. The truth is, when he mentioned Ninim in that interview, what he really wanted to say was, "Now I have money. Now I can give you a better life. If you see this, please come back to me." But his pride had sealed his lips. Later, when the reporter presented him with the diary written before her death, Hak Nien panicked. He was terrified it was real, so he hypnotized himself into believing she was still alive, that she had only left to find a better life somewhere else, that she was still out there. Because, deep down, between being betrayed by a loved one and losing her forever, the latter was unbearable. He couldn't face the possibility that Ninim had truly died, that the diary was real. He couldn't imagine how he would go on living.
But the truth will always come to light, no matter how hard one tries to endure. Countless times Hak Nien recalled that night. In the thick darkness, the image of that girl crying out in agony, Ning Ning, who had lost her only family, utterly desperate, the sister he had loved most in his life. Why hadn't he recognized her? Why couldn't he? If only he had realized sooner, perhaps he could have saved her. He could have saved her. That torment haunted him like a ghost, replaying endlessly in his mind, stealing his sleep night after night. He knew he was sick, but he refused treatment, numbing himself with alcohol instead. The once cold and rational President Huo had now become an alcoholic. His work gradually fell into decline. His assistant pleaded with him time and again, but to no avail, until finally he was thrown out. The foster sister, whose face faintly resembled Ning Ning's, was sent abroad to study. Just seeing her would make Hak Nien scream in anguish, drowning in guilt. One night, the remorse crushed him like darkness. He collapsed to his knees, pressed a razor to his wrist, and drew a deep cut. In that moment, there was no pain, only relief. At last, it could all be over. He lay back in the bathtub filled with warm water, closed his weary eyes. But in the haze, he heard Ning Ning's voice. He jerked upright.
She stood before him, still young, still beautiful as ever. At her feet, a yellow dog wagged his tail nonstop. Ning Ning, is that you? He daren't blink, terrified that if he did, she would vanish. It's me, brother. Please, don't torment yourself anymore. Didn't I say I'll always be watching over you from the sky? You must live well. What happened before, it wasn't your fault. I never regretted anything. Even though I died, seeing you live well now makes me happy. Brother, please, live for me too. Ning Ning! Hawk Nian cried out, waking suddenly. But before him, there was no sister, only emptiness. It was just a dream. He sat there frozen, then gave a bitter laugh as tears poured down his face. Ning Ning, even a brother like me, you can still forgive? Ning Ning, I'm unworthy, but I promise you, from now on, this life you have given back to me, I will cherish it. I will live well. I will care for this health. I will pour everything I have into a charitable fund to help cancer patients who cannot afford treatment, to give them another chance at life. If only such an organization had existed for you back then, things might have been different. Hawk Nian called his assistant, who rushed him to the hospital in time to save him. After being discharged, he founded a charity fund named Ning Ning, dedicated to helping impoverished cancer patients. He also sought out Ha Young, the girl who had once helped Ning Ning, offering to sponsor her dream of opening a flower shop. But she refused. Ha Young blamed herself for not taking Ning Ning to a doctor in time, for letting her slip away. Hawk Nian often visited Ha Young just to hear scraps of memories about her sister's final days. When he heard how Ning Ning once picked up discarded wilted vegetables from the market and rejoiced over them, his eyes filled with tears he could no longer hold back. Years later, Chairman Hawk, the man who devoted his life to charity, passed away suddenly at his home. His caretaker recalled that before his passing, Hawk Dong's eyes brimmed with tears as he mumbled foolish words about his lost sister. Ning Ning, mother, father, you've come to take her back, haven't you? Forgive me, I didn't take good enough care of her. She had never seen an old man weep with such raw pain, and yet, at the moment of his death, Hawk Dong's face was serene, carrying the contented smile of a child who had just recovered the most precious treasure of his life.